Marissa Norcross.
And I'm Dave Freund, and this is The Next Page. Marissa, how are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm terrific. Hey, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was really nice. It was, it was a little different this year, but it was just really enjoyable to celebrate just us at home and not have to go anywhere. The girls loved watching the parade, which made me very happy. And
I bet.
Yeah. How was yours?
Ours was great. We had the whole family here, not like the entire time because my son's in-laws were here from Arizona. So that was a little bit, we ended up like with two Thanksgiving kind of days. So, on Thanksgiving Day, everybody but Mike and his family was there. And then Saturday afternoon and evening, we had the whole family together. So it was great. It was an amazing time, which sets us off for my most wonderful time of the year. So
Yes.
when you first read my post, which is titled "The Most Wonderful" in quotes time of the year ? What were you thinking about?
I did get a little chuckle with the question mark because, I think I've shared this before that while I certainly love the holiday season, I do occasionally feel a little more stressed than usual during this kind of month between Thanksgiving and the New Year. So I could relate. I guess that's where I'll leave it.
And my point when I wrote it was, it is the most wonderful time of the year. But as I reflected on it, there were a lot of times when it wasn't, or parts of it weren't, or, I would get to January with this like, oh man, I wish we would have, and we missed this, and we didn't do that. And there is for a lot of people, there is this letdown after the holidays as well. So as I was thinking about, why would there be a question mark? Is it the most wonderful time of the year? I came up with 3 points that I put in my post on how we can make sure it is, because I realize it's stressful, it's complicated. You've got people gathering together who maybe or don't agree on everything. So if Uncle Charlie is going, just to give you a perfect example, I have dear friends of ours. I was talking with them Sunday in church, and I said, "How was your Thanksgiving?" And they said, "Oh, great. We were invited to this person's house where there's a younger couple that takes really good care of this older couple." And it was interesting that the gentleman that was hosting the dinner or the lunch, Thanksgiving lunch, whatever it was, said, "Okay, I'd like to have you all talk about something you're thankful for, and absolutely no mention of any politics whatsoever."
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, one of the guests at the table said, "Well, I'm so thankful that," and it was like this snarky comment. And one of my thoughts was, we just need to know that if that's Uncle Charlie or Aunt Helen, they're going to do it. And if you prepare yourself for the fact that they're going to say something snarky or controversial, just ignore it and move on, because it's going to happen. So that's the kind of thing about prepare yourself for what's coming. And I had 3 things: be intentional, manage expectations, and be fully present. Being intentional, I think you are the perfect person to share. How do we become intentional about the holidays? Because you talk about your bucket list. So how do you decide what goes on the bucket list?
Well, we decide as a family, now that the girls are a little bit older, of the things that we want to make sure that we do during that given season. Because, like you said when we started, you get to January and you say, "Oh, I wish we had done this," or "I wish we had gone there." And I think I spent too much time doing that earlier, in my kids' lives, that I just decided I don't want to do that anymore. Let's figure this out ahead of time. And so we decide as a family, we look at what we did the year before and maybe what the girls are old enough to do now, and make the list that way.
Awesome. And for me, this is like the foundation point to a great holiday season, because this is the first year I've ever done it. I have what I call my Christmas bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, let's see, 6 things on it right now. I still need to sit down with my wife and make sure that we get her things on the list, because I haven't done that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, I'll sit down with the family. Duh! How could I miss that one? But some of these things are already scheduled.
Yeah.
Like I've got them scheduled. So do you do that too? Like if you can, do you schedule the time?
Yeah, certain things I do, like Lights on the Lake. For anyone who's local, you know what Lights on the Lake is. That's something now you need tickets for ahead of time, which is kind of helpful because it made us choose a date intentionally. We chose a date that was, the girls did not have school the next day. So if we had to wait in line, we wouldn't be disappointed. And and we bought the tickets and we're going. It's on the list.
Awesome.
And we'll be there.
Awesome. And guess what? Now I have 7 things on my list because I forgot Lights on the Lake.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these kids at heart, even though I'm 60 years old. I love going to Lights on the Lake.
Mm-hmm, me too.
I think the one thing I need to do differently this year is, and I'm going to put it on my bucket list thing, is bring snacks.
That's a good idea.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, this is wonderful, but I'd love to have some snacks, some beverages type of thing.
Say some hot chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put it in a Yeti and it's ready to go, right? When you get, of course, if you got 9 grandkids in the car, no, I would never take all 9. That's multiple cars.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a perfect example, because if we don't schedule these things, life gets in the way.
Yeah. Things will get, I think that's one of the advantages to scheduling it, is that when other things pop up, you're able to very easily decide if it's a yes or if it's a no, based on the things that you intentionally set out to do with your family.
And now this is going to sound completely self-serving, but it's not. So if we've got things on our bucket list that we have scheduled, and someone says, hey, can you come to this, or can you do this with us? You can simply say, oh, I'm sorry, I have something on my calendar that date. Mm-hmm. You don't have to say, I'm going to Lights on the Lake, because they're going to say, how stupid might that be? You're 60 years old. Why would you care about going to Lights? But I can just say, oh, I'm sorry, I've already scheduled something for that time. Mm-hmm. Is there another time that would work for you?
Yeah. So
it allows us to really live out the season as we and our families have decided to do it. Mm-hmm. So that intentional piece is huge. And then I love what you do is you take pictures of the items as you do them you don't just check off your bucket list, you have pictures.
Yes. We try.
So
they don't always come out.
We try. Yeah. And so if you can get the picture, they don't always come out right.
Yeah.
If you have the pictures, now you have the memory.
Yep.
And one of the things we did one year is we were taking some of our grandkids through Lights on the Lake. Is I actually, cell phones today are amazing. These, with our iPhones, we've got at least a 4K video capability. And I took a video of just one of our grandchildren's expressions as they saw the lights. Mm-hmm. That's priceless. It's precious. We're going to have that forever. Mm-hmm. So the second one that I had on here was managing expectations. And I've shared this before, but unspoken expectations are planned disappointments.
Yep.
So if you have expectations about an event or something you want to do, share it with people. I have some expectations. Now, I've actually got 3 Christmas movies that I want to watch with my family. That might be a bit much. So my real expectation is that people might watch one of them with me. Mm-hmm. And so if I just express that, hey, I'd like to watch these 3 at some point, and I'd love it if maybe, when my daughter comes from Ohio with her family, comes back for Christmas, hey, which of these would you like me to save to watch together when you come? Mm-hmm. That just is perfect, because, and you need to understand, things are going to go wrong. Flights are going to get canceled. Snowstorms are going to hit. Hopefully, we like snow at Christmas. But people are going to get sick. I was listening to a podcast last week, and it's specifically on, because I saw this one podcast on how do you manage the stress for the holidays. And this one person who's a professor of something, I don't know, psychology or something. But he was talking about how he and his family had planned a vacation, and on the way there, they were going to be gone for a week. One of his kids got a stomach bug, a 24-hour stomach bug. And it went from one kid to the next kid to the next kid. So 3 days they had kids with stomach bugs. But rather than complain about it, his wife just said, each one of those days I could spend a day cuddling one of my children.
Mm-hmm.
So you find that positive experience in something that's negative. So you look for it. It's there if you look for it.
Mm-hmm.
We did one of the things that my wife wanted to do was to have pictures taken to use as a Christmas card for this year. And so we decided to because our whole family was here, we went somewhere, we were going to have this picture taken. First of all, it was really cold outside. And so why, I'm trying to think to myself, and I know you don't put coats on when you take a picture, but we probably could have, because we could have probably made it look right. But anyways, we didn't. But everybody was wearing sweaters and long johns and things like that. At least the kids were all wearing long johns. And one of the kids just didn't cooperate. Okay. So in the picture, my guess is her back's to the camera. And that's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It might end up being one of the best pictures we ever get.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very, very real.
Mm-hmm.
And if we would have said, we've got to have this perfect picture. Amazing photographer. The background that she used was amazing. I can't wait to see the pictures. But it was still a wonderful experience. And on the way home, a bunch of us ended up going to a Dunkin' Donuts to have hot chocolate and donuts. And it was just a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
That if we would have been all upset because one little person didn't cooperate, we would have ruined the day for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any tips for managing expectations?
Well, I think I've learned over time, I think this kind of is coupled with being intentional and managing expectations, but like really pairing up those expectations with your values.
Yes.
And sometimes your expectations or what your plans are might not be the popular opinion with your family or your in-laws or your friend group or whatever.
Sure.
And I think what I've learned is just being clear about what's going to happen for you and your family ahead of time, right? Like saying, this is how we're going to celebrate our Christmas Day. We'd love to see you on the 26th. Or, just kind of managing those expectations with family and friends in a kind and loving way ahead of schedule, so there's no surprises, really can help like balance out some of that stress of the holidays. Like think about what really matters, right? What really matters is what your family experiences, or if you have kids, if you have little kids, it's it's such a fleeting time. You have so few years before it's like they've moved on from the magic of Christmas. That it's important to guard that time and really set those expectations and those boundaries and be intentional about what you want the holiday to look like, but then being flexible enough to bend when the kids aren't cooperating or when someone's sick or whatever, because all of those things have happened to me. I've had the photo experience as you've had. I've had the sick kid at the holidays experience.
Anyone that has kids knows exactly what that's all about.
Yeah.
But you hit one of the notes that I had here. Don't lose sight of what really counts.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you said that. You have to know your values and live your life according to your values.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes too, I think families can be completely unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Our son sent my wife and I the nicest text message and said, "Thank you so much for understanding that we would need to spend Thanksgiving Day with my in-laws," or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why wouldn't we be?
Mm-hmm.
It's only a day on a calendar.
Right.
Yes, it's the fourth Thursday in November, but whether we get together as a family on Thursday or we get together as a family on Saturday doesn't matter. We got together as a family. Right,
because your value is spending time with your family, not eating dinner on the fourth Thursday at 3 p.m.
Exactly, which we did eat dinner on the fourth Thursday. It wasn't 3 p.m., it was like 5:30, and the turkey was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And my son sent me a beautiful picture of his deep-fried turkey that looked amazing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the key. What really counts here? What really matters? And what can you do to actually not just have a blessing, but be a blessing for someone? So then I get to be fully present. And I just hope that when people get together with family and friends, that the electronics can be put away. And I struggle with this. I do. I admit it. A lot of times my son kind of jokes that, I'll watch a ball game on my iPad rather than the TV. Well, part of it is because I can put an AirPod in and I don't have to, other people in the room don't have to hear. Not that I sit in a room watching a football game with a bunch of people around. But like if I'm alone in the family room at our house, I'll just watch it on my iPad because it's not as annoying, I think, for the rest of the family that might be in the house. So there's a danger to that, and that is that you don't put it down when somebody comes in to talk.
Right.
And I, a full confession to all of our listeners, I struggle with that one, and I need to learn to close the iPad when somebody comes in the room. And I think too, some great ways to do this is things like board games or puzzles. I have some really neat memories in recent years of my wife and my grandkids. Now, I'm not a puzzle person. It's just not something I ever really enjoyed, but I have great memories of watching them all putting puzzles together as we're sitting around, Christmas Day or New Year's Day, whatever it might be, when they come to visit. And I just think find ways to do things with people.
Right.
Without the distractions of technology.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of fun and clever ways to do those types of things with your family. Like, I've seen the basket by the door where everyone leaves their phone. I've seen, if you're busy, if you're busy with a puzzle, you don't have time to pick up your phone, right? Or if you're busy with a board game, or if you're out for a walk or playing in the snow, your hands are going to be too cold to grab for your phone. I've seen people do those Minute to Win It games or something where they're just these hilarious games, and it's one of those, I think it gives you something else to do that you're not even thinking about your phone, or you couldn't if you wanted to, because your team's trying to win this for the family. Exactly. I saw one last night that really had me laughing. Do you remember the game Hungry Hungry Hippo? Did your kids ever play that game?
No.
It's like you just hit this lever and the hippos move and they try to grab these marbles, and whoever gets all the marbles. Well, I saw this family doing it online where one family member's holding the other family member's legs and pushing them towards the marbles.
Yep.
And they have paper bowls trying to get it was so funny. And I just think it's those types of things that allow you to connect with your family or to connect with your friends in a way that's beyond technology.
Absolutely. So, and the other thing about being fully present, and I shared this a few years back, back when we did a lot more shopping at the malls and, like Black Friday things. And I remember finding myself in the Disney store at the mall on Black Friday, and it was insane. And I'm like,
why am I here?
Why am I here? And then all of a sudden, I thought, no, I wanted to be fully present this weekend. And so I remember seeing the smiles on kids' faces. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing the Christmas music that was playing. And all of the insanity and nonsense just passed away. So when you go out in the evening, notice the lights, notice the snow falling. Make it a point to go to Skinny Atlas in the evening and see the lights, just the light poles wrapped with garland and lights, and just, find a place near you. Go to downtown Syracuse and just walk the street and look at the Christmas tree in Clinton Square and notice what's happening. And you're going to find that it's an amazing.
Yeah. Using, everything you described, you're using your senses to experience what's around you. And that's how, you center yourself and can become present, where, you know, like in the Disney store, you could have been, I'm sure there were kids making noise, and maybe adults making noise, and a lot of talking, but when you stopped and were able to tune into the holiday music, or, you know,
right.
the more joyful sounds, and
yes.
you know, made it easier to see the smiles than to see the frowns, and it made it easier to, you know, use your senses to ground yourself to the experience, instead of using your mind to
right.
think like, oh, this is terrible, why did I do this?
Exactly, because there is always some beauty in every moment. You just have to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had just a few more notes here. You know, one I think we already touched on, just accept imperfection. It's never going to be as good as you think it will.
Yeah.
And so that's all. Just know it. It's going to happen. Respond with kindness. You know, you're going to have people be rude. They're going to have people that are going to cut you off. You're going to have people that aren't going to hold the door for you. You know, just respond with kindness to people. And it kind of goes with what we talked about last week. In this last one, I found I hadn't thought about, but I really think it's important. Honor loved ones who have passed on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember learning this when my mother-in-law passed away way too young. And what my wife said was she appreciated it when people talked with her about her mother, rather than not want, you know, I thought, well, I don't want to bring it up because I don't want her to hurt any more than she already is. But that wouldn't have caused hurt. You know, and so now I actually kind of try to, when I can, and if I think about it in the moment, you know, I would just say, we always called my mother-in-law Mutti, you know, because she was from Austria. You know, Mutti would have loved to have seen this. You know, and it just gives us that wonderful memory again of this amazing woman that went to her reward long before she should have. So don't be afraid to honor those that the family has lost, because it might just mean a lot more to people than you think, and it brings back great memory.
Yeah.
Did we forget anything?
We touched on a lot of points. I think the big thing is, you know, what's today's date? Like, the day this releases is going to be December 1st, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, you've got a few weeks to think about these things, to think about what this holiday season could look like for you, what the new year could look like for you, what things do you want to make sure you do, what boundaries do you need to set, what expectations do you need to manage, and I think then you'll be setting yourself up for a month of celebration.
That's awesome. Couldn't have said it better. So with that, I'm Dave Freund.
I'm Marissa Norcross.
And this was The Next Page.